Hey guys, thanks for tuning back in. Now let's get right back into the podcast with attorney Tanya Mitchell Graham. So if a person is found out that they're going to have to pay child support, how do they prepare themselves to come to you for assistance?
Well, first of all, if they are unmarried, because what will happen is sometimes the mother will go file for child support with the child support office. And what they have to understand is they cannot assert their rights as a father in that action at all. They have to file a separate action, especially if they're going through like the Department of Child Support Services. Can't file it in that action. You have to file a separate petition to legitimate, first to establish your rights as a father and as the legitimate father of that child. If you want visitation, you have to do it in your petition to legitimate. You cannot do it in that action that you got from DHS on behalf of the child for child support, because that is only a child support issue. You can't counterclaim for anything in that one. So again, if they have a job where they are paid W-2 income or even 1099 income, you're good, because you've got the documentation. Now, one thing that a lot of people do not do is file taxes. I am not certain why that is.
It's America. I
don't know. But they need to come in with their last 3 years of tax returns. All right. So if it's 2018, you need to come in the door with your 2015, 2016, and 2017 tax return. If you have not filed 2017 because you got an extension through October 15th, bring me that little extension form. Okay. And when you do file, give me those taxes. I need proof of your year-to-date income. Okay.
So like a check stub or something?
Yeah. I need that. You probably need to come in with at least a couple of years of your bank statements. All right. You need to fill out a domestic relations financial affidavit.
And what is that? What is the purpose of that?
It is a mandatory document in all domestic relations cases. It shows your monthly income and expenses.
Okay.
Mandatory. Can't get around it. Don't try.
Yeah.
It needs to be as honest as possible, because you sign that in front of a notary, basically swearing that it's all true and correct information. Please don't perjure yourself in front of a court. You may need to, let's say if you're getting set up, and you may need to get with like Janai or some kind of CPA to get your affairs in order if you know it's coming and it hasn't happened yet. But I would just say, keep your business tight, but everybody doesn't do that. So know that those are like the minimum things that you're going to have if you've got an American Express where all your dirt is done. That's going to have to be produced. And so when I'm on the other side, when I'm representing mom, and she's like, well, he hides all this money. But I see like a Bugatti. I see this big old house. Well, I'm going to get that American Express for the past 3 years, and I'm going to see lots of things in there. So people need to know how they're spending. It will be found out if there is some sort of paper trail. Don't think that just we stop at the bank statements or we stop at the tax returns. We have to look at credit card statements. So they need to have their affairs in order, and if they came in with that, that's good from the child support side. And then with respect to the visitation side, which I know is a little different, but what can you really do? Please don't come in my office talking about you want 50-50 time, and you travel for your job 80% of the time.
Be realistic.
How are you going to get 50-50 time? Well, my wife can pick up my child. Well, the visitation is not for your wife. That parenting time is supposed to be for you. And if you cannot legitimately handle that parenting time, let's please not anger the judge with a song and a dance that's a bunch of crap, because most judges will see through it right away.
They've heard and seen it all, I'm sure.
It's not, now that's not saying that your wife couldn't help with some things, but you cannot travel 80-90% of the time and want 50-50 custody. Or you cannot work a shift that starts at 4 p.m. until, you work overnight. You can't have custody. The child sleeps at night. If the child's with you, who's going to be there with the child?
Exactly.
So be realistic about what you can really do.
You don't have to bring in and show proof of anything that you've done thus far or anything like that for the child.
I mean, that's good facts to have, and the judge will consider it, but it doesn't give you any credit for anything. Not at all. Especially when there's no child support order. It is not retroactive in Georgia. So it's prospective. So what you've done before is great. That shows that you have not abandoned your opportunity.
It's like character.
Yeah, but you haven't abandoned your opportunity because let's say a guy has a kid that's 2 and he's never paid anything. Well, you may have abandoned your opportunity to legitimate and to be active. You know, the other thing I want to tell, make sure that guys know is even if there's no child support order, you've had a baby with Tamika, and let's say that you and Tamika are kicking it, but then you all stop and you got the baby. And you like, forget Tamika and that baby too. You're on your own, Tamika. You can't go 30 days without paying something. She can go file a warrant for child abandonment, which is criminal.
Wow.
It is, you will be arrested. Now, they won't, depending on the county, some counties, you'll get the knock at the door and then you're going off to jail. Other counties will give you an opportunity. They'll have like a probable cause, preliminary hearing. But if she came in and filed for child abandonment and you don't have any proof that you paid within 30 days prior to that, you're very likely going to be locked up. Now, some judges, if you get that and you say, girl, here's that money. I didn't have your address or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to pay something and maybe you can get out of there, but some judges will still arrest you.
Wow.
So you've got to be mindful of child abandonment. That can happen if there is no child support order and you know this is your child and you've gone 30 or more days without supporting your child.
30 days.
Right.
It's not like you've been gone for 3 months.
But what
I don't get credit for paying you anything.
But if
I don't pay you, I'm going to jail.
Boom.
It's
Well, those are two different guys, though. Those are two different guys.
Right.
The guy that pays is not going to jail because he's paying something.
Right, exactly.
You know, the deadbeat guy could very well go to jail.
So at least that is some benefit. That is a benefit.
That is
if you
an
do pay
absolute
before
benefit.
getting a court order,
But
you're
won't
not
get
accused of child abandonment.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
Make sure you remember that child abandonment is criminal.
Got it.
Get that in your mind.
Got it.
And even people who have a child support order, like some guys think, well, the worst she can do is file for contempt, which is civil. When she files, I can, come into court with my money. She still can file child abandonment if there's a civil order requiring you to pay support and you haven't paid. So I tell my clients that have orders and, something happened, I said, you better get something. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you got to have the entire amount.
Right.
So let's say you have a child support order to pay $1,500 a month. You don't make that kind of money anymore. You better send $500. You better send $100. You better send something.
Wow.
And also, even with civil contempt, if the judge finds you in contempt, you can be incarcerated until you purge yourself of that civil contempt by paying a lump sum. Now, I tell my guys, they do not have a real pretty child support jail. You go to jail with all the other criminals when you have not paid child support, when you are in contempt. They don't have a nice little, white collar jail. No, you going to jail.
Oh, I didn't commit a crime. I just didn't pay my child support.
That is a crime. That is a crime.
Wow.
It is.
So interesting.
That's absolutely crazy.
That's crazy.
This is very eye-opening.
Is that the first time you heard of child abandonment?
It's the first time I heard it.
I think so.
I think I heard of it, but I don't think I understood what
It's
it really
criminal.
meant. I don't think.
When you do not financially support your child in 30 days, even if there's no child support order, you better take some lunch money, some clothes, some diapers, something. Take it over there and have proof
Got it.
that you did it.
Got it. But this a legitimate is not required in this situation.
No. Some people don't legitimate because they say, well, hey, I don't have money for a lawyer. Almost every county has forms for you to at least legitimate the child where you now have equal rights. If your county doesn't have forms, Fulton County does. Get those same forms, and where it says Fulton, you put your county and get your rights established.
Wow.
You have no rights but the obligation to pay if you are unmarried to the mother.
Ooh, I hope y'all hearing this.
This is very serious.
Yes,
with no child support
absolutely.
jail,
No joke.
this is really serious.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who wants to go to jail? Who wants to go to jail, period?
Right.
But if you're going to go to jail, can it be something respectable? There is no respect in going to jail for not paying child support. None.
So, based on your career and all your experiences and cases, how do you describe an ideal client? Like, you're like, oh my God, they were so amazing because what?
Yes. An ideal client is one that, first of all, takes the advice of his lawyer. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that you don't question your lawyer. Because you need to understand what's going on. You don't have to accept everything as true. Right. Mm-hmm. You can question your lawyer, but if your lawyer says to me, hey, you have got to stop commingling your business income and your personal income. Now, the good thing about family law situations is the facts of the case can also be created while the case is pending. Mm-hmm. So let's say the case started and you're just commingling like the devil, okay? You're paying your mortgage out of your business account. You're paying your car notes, and, you can fix all of that. And you can say, well, Your Honor, I did that, and once I got counsel, I realized I was doing it wrong, and I changed it, and here's what it is now. And be sincere and be legitimate. But when your lawyer says, hey, we're going to have to turn in 3 years of tax returns, and you come in and you haven't filed since like the 90s, you've got to get that straight. You have got to file your taxes. You cannot go into court and expect the judge to give you any kind of benefit. You're not credible if you don't handle your obligations. Right. Some judges take it more seriously than others. I had a case where a child who was of age to sign an election to live with dad. The judge denied it because dad had not filed taxes in I don't know how many years, but definitely more than 3. So if you come in and you're commingling and your lawyer says, hey, pay yourself a salary, separate it, I can help you, we can work with your CPA, your bookkeeper, I can show a client these are things that you can pay out of your business, because some people really don't know. Right. I might even pull a tax return, say, look, you see where you can do these things? These things are tax deductible, pay that through the business. These things are not. You need to pay yourself an income so that you can meet these obligations, okay? So do not commingle. Pay yourself a salary. They take that advice, golden. I say, you need tax returns. They don't have them, but they get them done. That's a great client. Okay. If I say, well, hey, here's some additional things that you can do that, and they do it. So a client that really is proactive. Yeah. Also, a client that says, well, hey, you didn't tell me to do this, but should I go ahead and get some insurance too? Yes. A client that understands and recognizes that he's going to have some responsibilities, not coming in there trying to figure out how he can not have responsibilities. Right.
Not looking
meets all your deadlines, I'm sure.
Imperative. Right. If we have discovery, it's due in 30 days. You cannot tell me on the 29th day, I am in China. Right. I don't have, but I gave this to you before you went. So meeting deadlines can also put you in a position where the other side may file a motion to compel discovery. You could be ordered to provide the documents by X date. If you don't do it, you can find yourself being held in contempt and being incarcerated for not giving up documents. Wow. You can be incarcerated for contempt. Just follow the rules. Yeah. Produce the documents, follow the advice, ask questions, be proactive. I mean, I've had some, like Janai said, she and I share a very, very good client who always follows apparently all her rules and mine too. That's ideal.
Yeah. That's good.
And this was my last question. So when you talk about going to child support or engaging an attorney, like when do you go, because I don't know if people understand the distinction, you can go to the child support office and file, or you can hire an attorney. Is that right? I don't know if this is.
You mean the father or the mother or who?
I'm not sure.
Oh, well, they both. Like, for instance, some guys go put themselves on child support, and they go down to the child support office because they do want to establish a record, and they will ask them for minimal documents, and they will go ahead and set it up. The problem is you're not going to be able to stop it. So if you are the father and you go put yourself on child support, just know that once that starts, you can't stop it. So the mother can stop it, though. The mother can stop the collection.
What's the benefit? Why should someone hire an attorney like you versus just going to the child support office?
We're going to be infinitely more thorough than the child support office. Okay. And a lot of times, men who voluntarily want to pay child support want to be involved in their child's life, too. Mm-hmm. So the child support office cannot legitimate. They cannot deal with parenting time, visitation. Mm-hmm. They cannot deal with contempt. Mm-hmm. So let's say you are divorced, and in your divorce decree it says that you must have this visitation. There's a parenting plan, but there's also a child support addendum saying you must pay this amount, and that it can go through the Department of Child Support Services. They can't deal with her contempt, but they can deal with your contempt on child support. Because they're just a child support collection agency. That's it.
Right.
So I know we haven't talked much about visitation.
Yes.
So visitation means what? I mean, I understand that means that like you basically kind of get on a schedule.
It's parenting time. And so standard parenting time might be every other weekend from 6 on Friday until 6 on Sunday. It may be a day during the week for dinner, like maybe a Wednesday or a Tuesday. Alternating holidays, 2 weeks in the summer, that's standard bare minimum for Joe Blow. If you as a dad want to be a little more active,
yes,
you can do that. But you know what? You cannot decide you want to be active when there's a child support action pending. You need some facts to justify why are you going to get more than the minimum. So I always tell guys, are you a member of the PTSA? Have you been to a parent-teacher conference? Have you made yourself available for a doctor's appointment? Have you been to what's the pediatrician's name? Do you know your child's teacher's name? Have you been to a dentist appointment? You have a special needs child and you don't know their medicines? You know.
So if you have visitation, and what can someone not do during visitation? Like, for example, you know, I've seen cases where people have visitation, but the mom is mad, so you can't see the child today.
Well, then dad can file contempt, and if mom's in contempt, she could be incarcerated too. Dad could get makeup time. This might be a good time for dad to try to seek custody because the mom might be attempting to alienate the child.
Right, because, you know, like sometimes maybe you want to call and talk to the child, but they don't want to call.
Right.
You know,
if there's a court order that says, hey, you have a nightly phone call between 7 and 7:30, and she continues to deny it, what I like for guys to do is don't go filing contempt because it didn't happen for 1 week.
Right.
Keep a log, keep a little diary of all mom's legal transgressions as far as the court order, maybe about 6 months. And I know some guys are like, 6 months, but you've got to show a pattern of willfully violating a court order for mom to be found in contempt. You've got to show some kind of change in circumstance if you want to now file a modification. But you've got to keep a log in both instances.
And so if there's like no court-ordered phone call or something like that, then mother
you need to go to court and get it established
because she doesn't have to answer the phone. She just has to make sure he's there on Friday by 6 o'clock.
But
you
need to put that in the order. You need to, you know, I'm going to ask for that. And most family law attorneys that I know are going to ask for as much as a dad says that he's interested in.
Understood.
We all do that. You know.
Again, I can't begin to say how much I've learned today.
Well, I want to give you all a sample though. With child support. What I did was I did a child support worksheet. I did 2. And so in my scenario, dad is in the music industry, so he's self-employed, or he's whatever, and he's self-employed. And so I use mom's income to be $2,000 a month. And so what happens with the child support worksheet, the first 2 pages is like a summary of all the schedules. All right. Now, the first schedule is called Schedule A. It deals with gross income. Now, when you have a self-employed individual, what the child support worksheet does is it has a self-employment calculator. Okay, so what dad needs to do is put down what his gross monthly receipts are. If he has the type of business that has sales, he puts that in there. He takes all his legitimate business expenses, and it will come to a net income. If he pays himself, it will also add the compensation to the principal on there. So you use the self-employment calculator, put those legitimate business expenses in there, and then you go back. And so in my scenario, dad's income is $17,685 per month.
Okay.
In both cases. Now, in sample one, they have one child, and that one child is on the worksheet, but since dad is self-employed on Schedule B, I put down that dad is self-employed, and so the child support calculator will automatically take out FICA and Medicare. Okay. So us lawyers who, I'm going to speak for, I'm good at math, but let's say the lawyers who are not good at math, this worksheet does so much for you. So it already calculates it out. In my example number one, dad also has a first child that he pays $2,000 a month for, because dad's a baller, right? And he's got an order, and he actually pays. So you put that on Schedule B. Dad also has another child, so he's got 3 kids. One child he pays child support. The other child lives with him, and he has a court order for that. So I put that on here as well. So what happens is these things decrease dad's basically adjusted gross income.
Right.
All right? So you take out the FICA, the Medicare, you take off the child support he pays for the other, you get a little credit for the child that lives in your home. So now dad's adjusted gross income comes to $13,472 instead of the $17,685. Now this dad, he's a great dad. He is paying for the child's health insurance at $150. He also has the child in a really good school, and that school costs $1,750 a month, and the child is, a young child. So you put all that on the worksheet for dad. Dad also has medical insurance. I just put $20 on there just to make it fun and complete. So in scenario number one, dad's going to pay $1,211 per month for this one child. Okay? In sample number two, this dad, same income, all the same factors in income. This dad, though, he does not have any other children. All right. So he doesn't have one that he pays support for.
Not one in the house.
He doesn't have one in the house. Okay. Mom is paying the insurance. Mom is paying the daycare. Mom is paying the insurance as far as vision. This dad, now keep in mind, same income.
Same.
This dad pays $3,332 per month for child support. Same income, different set of facts. All right? So it's important that dad kind of gets involved. If he's so concerned about how mom is spending, if he's so concerned about how mom is spending the child support money, why don't he voluntarily pay some of these expenses himself?
And he don't need to be having children all over the place neither, because they cost a lot of money.
Well, I would love to say that doesn't happen, but it happens, especially if dad is well known.
That's $3,000 a month. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and to mom, that's tax free. So
chilling. Need a little do-over here, David Thornton.
He's just shaking his head. But same income. Look at the huge difference in child support.
Very interesting.
And I can understand why you would pay more.
Right.
And for the
Based
second
on the
one.
So some guys come in and they say, well, my friend and I have the exact same income. The mothers are about the same. Why am I having to pay this amount and he only has to pay this? You dig a little deeper and you find out that other dad is paying for school and insurance and all these other things that are factored in.
Right. And does the child support people or department use that same schedule?
Well, this schedule is utilized to create a court order. They use the court order.
Gotcha. This is my last question.
That was your last.
But the child support worksheet is mandatory to come up with the amount. You don't just grab a number. There's been case law that says you can't just grab a number and then finagle the numbers in the worksheet to arrive at that number or to arrive at zero. You can't do that.
Tanya, we are so happy you were here with us today.
Thank you so much.
I hope so. His head like, man, you dodged a bullet, baby.
You did.
So for people who want to learn about you or get in touch with you, tell us how people find you on social media or your website.
Oh, well, my website is www.tmgesq.com. That's real simple. And I like that little motif. So my Instagram is TMGESQ. My Twitter is TMGESQ. My Snapchat is TMG ESQ.
Okay. I think we got it. Well, again, thank you so much for coming today, and you're really helping us, fulfill our mission of making sure people really understand.
Right.
We hear from so many people who don't know the facts, don't know the law, and it's our job to bring real authoritative sources to light so people know what to do or who to reach out to.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for coming to the Never Broke Nation podcast.
Thank you for having me. You all are great.
Thank you. It was really good. I learned a lot.